recording.
Yeah.
Alright, man. Start by saying all praises to Yahweh, Bar Shem, Yahweh Shai, Bar Shem, Harakal, Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of the great bills on the rule well. And shalom to the whole full elect.
Shalom.
You got anything?
Yeah, Acts 1 and 7. Oh, well, Acts 1 and 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father put in his hand, in his own power, but ye shall receive power after the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in Judea and in Samaria and unto the utmost part of the earth. And when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of his sight. Yeah, so that's how Yahushua left, at the start of Acts. Well, it was what? Dealing with Acts 2, Acts 2 and 5, it's just like the Spirit came on them, and then from there, they were moved to do what they had to do, man. And that's times we're in again now, where it's like when the time where you saying Acts being done, man. The Lord's got his men out there on the street in all the different parts of the world prophesying, man. And prophesying. The main one is over the internet. That's the main way that Unicorn basically spreading the word, because that's how the word's been magnified, man. And then it's what's the main thing, the key thing after, the key bit of knowledge they wanted was what? When's the kingdom going to be restored to Israel? Because that's a key part. That's what you need to know what's going down. Because when we get into the coming times, it's the kingdom being restored. And that's what Jake really don't know. That's Jake out here in the world existing, being a black, a Hispanic, a Native American. There might be a Cherokee, there might be whatever. They don't know what's going on. They're just existing. But hey, look, for those sheep of Yahushua that know, then it's for them. It's given to know. They'll hear the word and be like, "Yo, this is it. This is what you've been waiting for. This is the thing." And then they plug in, and then bang, Spirit deals with them, man. And those are the men of Yahushua, man. Those that are basically known of him. And that's that's how this thing is, man. It's through the Spirit. And it's really it's a thing where it's, that's when it comes to them times of trouble, man, time of Jacob's trouble, which come in the midst of, that's when you know, it's gonna be hot, because already with the Maxine, it's heating up, to where it's like they been saying in the States for a little bit, it's slowed down, not as many people are getting it, and they said with the police services, nurses, and the military, it's not off the table to make it mandatory. So these things are all looking to get pushed out. So what? Verse 11, which also said, "You men of verse 10. It says, and while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven." Yeah, so that's the other key part is what? How Yahushua is going to make his return. Same way, it's of what a cloud received him. So then that's how he's going to be returned. You go to, I think, 2nd Ezra 13, I believe, where it goes into, the like a graven mountain. The chariot was so huge, it was like a graven mountain. It covered the whole of the heavens. That's how Yahushua is going to make his return. And then as such, when he makes that return, he's coming on looking to do conquest. And these are things that we have to to look forward to basically uplift us in our spirit, man. Because we see all this going down. People in the world, they'll quake, man. They'll see, oh no, the economy's going sideways. You know, there's a chance of war could pop off. There's this that can happen. There's that can happen. They're like, oh no. But now for us, it boosts the spirit because you know, hey, look, this thing's done. This place is done. Every minute we're out here, it's like what? This is grating on the spirit to exist here. But hey, look, that's why it's as far as all this going down, and that's a beautiful thing.
I have a precept. Okay. So this is 1 Thessalonians 4:16. I'll start from 13. I would have you to be, but I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning that them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others have no hope. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will the Most High bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Yahushua shall raise first. Then we that are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we ever be with the Lord. This is the point. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So, you know, as going back to what you read in the book of Acts, the first chapter, it spoke about the disciples at the time moving into being apostles, basically asking about the kingdom being restored. Alright, and he said it weren't the time. But basically in this time that we're in now, this is what we're preparing to see. We're seeing even within the next month or so, they're going to declassify all these different documents dealing with the so-called UFOs, which are the chariots of the Most High. And they're being talking about it and saying how they were scared to let it be known to the people and different things. But ultimately, this is showing you that these things are coming close. So the beginning of the end, you know, the last days beginning back then in the book of Acts, the first chapter, basically started back then, and they were looking for the kingdom, but it wasn't as close as it is now, because now we're looking to the Lord coming back, and this is how close we are. So when we're looking towards it, we're to comfort each other with these words, alright? Because we're close. And that's why we do these videos. That's why we go out on highways and byways, because this is a comfort unto you men. And normally being caught up in the air and meeting Yahushua will be changed in a blink of an eye. So we're gonna go from rag to riches like that, like how Thanos snapped his fingers in a gauntlet, and it changed from one thing to another, and then that twinkle of an eye, that blink of an eye, we're gonna go from rags to riches. We're gonna go from mortal to immortal, and then move into the kingdom. And then from there, it's gonna be like everything we're suffering right now will be like a dream. And I even just should push you even further on to be in a mindset of, yo, this ain't gonna mean shit when we end up into the kingdom. It tells you that in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, when it talks about them that woke up to everlasting shame and content. Alright? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Let me get this. Matthew 22. And let's start from verse 8. It says, Then saith he to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. So these servants went out into the highways and byways, and together all as many as they found, good, bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests. Yeah, so go into the highways and bid to the marriage. Because that's the thing is what's going down is, this is the Lord gathering his elect men. The Lord gathering his elect men. And, as such, then it's a chosen place, man. It's only for those that mercy's been had on, man. And it's election. Because this is something that was decided before the world was made. So these things, and that's the thing, it's like with, what we're dealing with, when you deal with, the carnal world, you deal with what Esau and his BS, then it's basically you have that doctrine of, everyone out here, just, everyone's equal, all this nonsense. Which, even when you get down to the elites, them guys ain't dealing with that. Them guys ain't looking at themselves on the same level as, as the goyim, as they call them, around. They're basically carrying themselves like they're looking to rule the earth. So that's why you've got the the elect of Satan on the left hand side, and the elect of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua on the right hand side. And that's let me get this. Ephesians 6. Let's get to point 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And that's what the enemies are dealing with. The enemies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, which you can go into Psalms 83. It will highlight. You get a breakdown of who they are, and yeah, it's plain. These guys are the enemies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and that's clear from their conduct, how they've dealt with the apple of his eye, Israel, because that's the conduct against Israel, but around the globe. That's a clean way to just dissect. Okay, what's the approach gonna be? How when Yahushua makes his return, how's he looking to entreat them? And that's why you go into Revelation 1. It says, every eye shall see him. Talking about Yahushua, and it says also they that pierced him. Because why? Reincarnation exists, and those men that pierce Yahushua, hey, they're gonna be there to receive their judgment as well. That's the thing is, this is everything coming to a head, man. Everything's gonna be wrapped up, and as such, that's why you're gonna have what the all the judgment's gonna go out, man. And America's gonna be wasted. You're gonna have a mass amount of death and destruction happening on the planet Earth, because that's how the Lord gets down. You got something?
Nah.
Cool. Ezekiel, I got something. Ezekiel 28 and 2. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Most High Power, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Yeah, so Esau's basically trying to set himself up in that position, and that's really what you've got. And the thing is you can go back to Exodus, what is it, 20, I believe, 10 Commandments, and then what is it? It says, you shall have no other gods before me. And that's something that Esau himself is trying to supersede, to implant himself in the heavens like he's the one. And that's And the thing is you can see how he's has been enacting this over the earth. Because why? It's pushing out his whole his whole philosophy that his society pushes out is that it comes parceled with that white supremacy, man. That basically looking at Esau like he's a reverent god on earth. Everyone else are just little monkeys that learn from him to actually get up on the level. And that's really what the mindset. That's why you deal with a heathen. They're looking to integrate with and deal with all Esau's systems as much as possible. They might be trying to overthrow him, but they're doing it They're thinking that his system, the way he's got it panned, is the pinnacle of how to do things. So they're trying to utilize that and then make it into them outdoing Esau at his own game. But what it says, okay, let me read on. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Yeah, Esau's been able to get his money. He's been able to get his acclaim. He's been able to get his fame on the earth, but that's increased the pride, man. That pride is Esau's greatest flaw. That pride is what it says. What pride is not made for men. So for this guy, the least of the heathen, to be moving with that excessive amount of pride, you're only inviting Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to judge you, man. And that's really what's going down. The Lord is basically just being like, oh, this guy has been set up as the prime example, of pride comes before the fall. Which is that's the saying you have in the world. It's people deal with that, but they don't observe it, man. This is a prideful world, and it's like basically, if you achieve something out in the world, in this place, then you're meant to be going out boasting and gaining acclaim for that. That's why it's like people will give to charity, and then there'll be newspapers running like, oh, these guys gave $250,000 to fucking Oxfam or whatever the hell, bigging them up. Everything's done out here is in vanity, and that's because what? Esau's the one at the top. He's the motivated, man, and that's what it says in the scriptures. One error that proceeded from the rulers, man, and rulers are moving completely corrupt. Interpreters, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, thou hast increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, thus saith the Most High Power. Because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God. Behold, therefore, I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. And that's the thing, is when judgment comes, all that goes out the window. That's why it's like all these other. That's a good example is that former Edomite bastion of pride was the what was it called, was it the Library of Alexander? I believe the Library of Alexander, back in ancient Greece.
Alexandria, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, Alexandria. So that was meant to be like,
it was in Egypt.
Yeah, in Egypt. It was meant to be a gathering of all the the knowledge of the world at the time and blah blah blah. That shit got sacked and destroyed. That's why it's like, all that all that pomp, all that pride. Hey, the Lord can bring that easy. In fact, let me grab this. Malachi 1 and 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. Yeah, so as far as all Esau builds up, what the Lord said, what? They shall build up, but I'll throw down. And that's what Esau's done. Esau's been able to build up what he's desired, man. This guy is basically even with looking at London, going back to like the fire of London that happened in what 1666. Then after that, they rebuilt London, utilizing that Renaissance imagery, and then put up a big ass monument with the phoenix at the top in London. These, this is how Esau gets down. Esau's thinking about what? Building up them desolate places, man. This guy's got his in the States building skyscrapers, up to the heavens. In the UK, they got in London, I should say, they got this shard, which they built. That shit is the pinnacle of that all that pride, man, of Esau. Esau thinking like, yeah, look how great engineering, blah 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 is. It's like, bro, you just these things it's just big caves, bro, big modern caves. That's what you're building. You go into one of them offices, it's compacted like this. You're sitting there in front of a PC like what the fuck is that shit? But that's Esau. That's his spirit, and he can't run from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Daniel 7:8. I consider the horns. I'll start from 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. Okay, this is talking about the Roman Empire. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, to dealing with Israel, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. It had 10 horns, and it had 10 horns. Diversity was by the means of democracy, alright, where the people ruled. They would vote someone into power. When that person was voted in, there would reign. Around the book of Maccabees, it goes into that. Also in the book of Revelations. Reading on, it says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. That's dealing with America. Alright, the 3 horns being plucked up by the root is basically dealing with Spain. Because you had the land of America was partitioned between 3 nations of the 10 horns. Alright, the 3 to highlight are England, France, and Spain, basically. That's why you have like 13 colonies, and the east coast of America is basically, Georgia, Carolina, New York, New Jersey, all places that are over here in the UK, and Carolina and Georgia that I mentioned, paying homage to the king and queen that ruled at the time. Alright, but then you have the Midwest, alright, Louisiana, okay, these types of places, St. Louis, that have names that go back to France. Then with the West Coast, California, all these Spanish names goes into Spain being there, alright? But so it's dealing with America, okay? So it says, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things, alright? The eyes of a man is dealing with the technology. So Esau is known for his technology, okay? And this is the same thing. This is what makes his kingdom actually diverse above everything, because every kingdom that's outlined here kind of has an image, something that they hold to, like a heathenistic idol, right? Which only is an image. This kingdom has an image as well, the image of the beast, where you make yourself in the likeness of this system. As a brother went into, basically you got all these nations trying to overthrow this man, right? Esau, Edom in his rule, but they're doing it by utilizing his system that's been set up in place, alright? Because they're ultimately they're worshiping him, alright? But in this kingdom, it's diverse because they want to bring about a mark. That's why we're seeing things like Neuralink, alright, and all the tracking technology they want to use, okay, and the code CV19. Passports and things like that. That's the reason why they're doing it, because only they want to move towards the mark of the beast technology. Yeah, that's it. That's what.
Back in Ezekiel, Ezekiel 28:8 says, "They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Will thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am God? But thou shalt be a man, and no man in the hand of him that slayeth thee. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers, for I have spoken it, saith the Most High Power." Yeah, so all that resistance, all that vanity that you pumped all your effort and energy into, it's like, okay, what's it going to result in the end? Those enemies, those other nations, are still going to get a green light to do you in. And that's the thing, is with these things going down, it's been ordained, man. The word's gone out. Yeah, I'll leave it there. You guys on?
1 second. Yeah, I have. Just grab this. This is the book of Joel. The 3rd chapter and the 1st verse says, "For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat." Jehoshaphat is a Hebrew transliteration of the word Yahweh Shaphat. Right? Yahweh is the name of the Most High Power. Right? And Shaphat means judgment. So this is the judgment, the Most High's judgment for all those nations. "And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." So basically what you're seeing going on right now, the tensions mounting up, basically it's like the Most High has put confusion within the camp. Because remember, they're all confederate one with another. You just got to go to the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter, and also Psalms, the 2nd chapter. I shall quickly read Psalms 2 and 1. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" Alright? "The kings of the earth set themselves, and rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sit," and that's what they did. They basically had that. I might as well read it. It's the book of Psalms 83 and 1. It reads, "Keep not thou silence, O power, Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult." Alright? "And they that hate thee have lifted up the head." Alright? "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones." So they've taken crafty counsel. That's that. These Bilderberg groups and the UN, even all these different places, is a crafty counsel. "They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation." And it's the same thing they said in the book of Psalms, the 2nd chapter. Alright? "That the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites and Moab and the Hagarenes, Jabal, Slakia, and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Ashur also has joined with them. They have opened the children of Lot, Selah." So that's a multitude of nations that came together. So let me finish this off in Psalms 2. Psalms 2 and 4. "He that sitteth in the clouds shall laugh. The Lord Yahweh shall have them in derision." And this is, I'm going to go back to Joel This is basically Joel. Man, it's a spirit because it's actually just kind of flowing. Um, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them with his sore displeasure. So let's go back to Joel, the second chapter, right? Because this all that I read, those prophecies, all right, of them coming together one with another, and then ultimately the Most High laughing and judging them. This is what we're seeing play out right now, right? So it's the book of Psalms, Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. And this is what you're seeing happening right now. Alright? They ain't really, they ain't, ultimately what they're doing is they're putting more money into their weapons of war. Alright? Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Diver calls thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Alright, Yahweh Shaphat. So this is what he's talking about. He's laughing and having them in derision. Because at one time they were all together, they came together to take Israel out. But then in doing so, now they've entered into a power vacuum where they're struggling, they're jousting for power now. And that's the Lord's work, basically. He's the one that's done that. Because now they've been put in a low land, right, where they're all gonna basically kill each other in that low land. Alright, those that are once all together, now his Heavenly Father's put confusion in their camp. So that now they're all confined against each other. Kind of like Gideon with the 300 men, with the shofars, the ram horn, and the torch of fire. All they said was, the sword of Gideon slay you, and they blew the trumpets, and they killed each other, basically. The Lord is, blowing his trumpet through his men in this time, and they're bringing forth the light of the Heavenly Father, around Yahweh Shai. So let me read this, reading on. So it says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Alright, so the Heavenly Father is going to sit there and judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come up, come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Alright, so the measure is met, basically. Multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the stars are withdrawing their shining right now. Alright, you're seeing this the past year or two. Alright, you're seeing